3 years ago, I actually shared this with different Sunday schools. If you recall, 3.5 years ago, my wife and I moved to Indy. We were able to close our home in Florida, load up the van and drive straight here and close. It was amazing how it worked. We were able to close on our home here, so we were able to move from one place to another. Well, during that process, we received the inspector's just report while we were in Florida, and we were just excited about all the new transition, all these things going on. We didn't pay attention to one of the small little things that turned out to be big that said the inspector noticed that in our ventilation vents, like from the bathroom and all these things, the covers were missing, and he had found evidence of birds. Now, we didn't think anything of it, no big deal. We're in our home, et cetera, et cetera. Well, Becca and I, one Saturday morning, were actually in the kitchen. She was preparing some stuff, and out of nowhere, we heard, I turned around and I said, honey. Just kidding. I was like, what in the world is that? What is that noise? I mean, it just kept going. We turned to the fridge because that was the general area, and we're thinking, oh no, if the fridge goes out, we're in trouble. You need something, and we can't afford, a new fridge. And so I moved the whole fridge out, to figure things, and I keep hearing, and I realize it's not the fridge, it's the wall. So I put my ear up like a fool, put my ear up right up against the wall, and I hear, and I go, now I remember it being a lot manlier in the moment, but Becca reminds me all the time. So then we start to realize it's something wrestling in our wall. It's alive. So, as a man, I realized, guess what? It's a bird. And if it's a bird in our wall, turns out the ventilation thing, because they kept trafficking in and out of there, they actually poked a hole and it fell inside our drywall. Imagine that thing dying in your wall. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, as any man, what do? I come up with a plan and I grab the butcher knife. Listen, I come with a plan not for the bird, for the drywall. So I strategically start to cut into the wall. Now, I told you, I'm thinking, I've prepared. I know that as I cut into the drywall, I want to do it where there's studs, so that when I'm done getting the bird out, I can put it back and nail it on. Thank you very much. So I planned through this. Good to go. So now that I've got it, the bird's going crazy in there, it's doing all this stuff. So I peek in just to see what's in there. I go, oh yeah, it's a bird. It's definitely a bird. So then I have to have, okay, what's the plan? How are we getting this out? I know bird's going to go crazy. It's going to have liberty. It's going to take off. So what do? So Becca and I grab blankets. We grab towels. We open all the windows. We even open the front door. We're ready for this thing, right? We're prepared. So I try to communicate with the bird in my limited bird language. Birdie, I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you. In case, I didn't know if it was a Mexican bird or something, so I said, estoy aquí para ayudarte. Being up north, maybe it was a Canadian, bird, so I was like, hey, bird A, I'm here to help you, eh? So I told you I was prepared. So we open the thing, and it's off to the races. And I am chasing behind this thing. We're doing laps around the house, just going around. Becca even gives me a Gatorade at one point because we're just going around. We had the windows open. I had cornered in such a way where I was ready for it to go out. So, I shoo the thing and it's taken off. The bird, 2 big windows, hits the wall between them. It falls on the ground and kind of goes, huh? Like, what happened? I'm like, So I now try to go after it, and then he takes off again, and, we're going around, and I'm trying to direct him towards the wall, and it's just, it's just pandemonium. It's just, and I'm like, ándale, mama, yeah, we're going around doing all these things. And then it goes for the door. Yes, and what does it do? It hits the door. falls to the ground. I'm like, ugh. And finally it just looks up like, oh, that was the fresh air I smelled. And then takes off. I'm like, yes, I'm a man. So in that moment, go back to check, and there's a baby chick that has now taken off itself. So it's a whole other showdown. I got more Gatorade to replenish my nourishment. So I'm going around, and this little bird's just taking off. He's not flying. He's just running, and he was fast. And I finally had him in a corner. So it's a showdown, okay? Just like movies. It's like we were looking at each other. I have a towel, and he's kind of looking at me kind of strange. You know, what's going on? And in that moment, you know, I knew I had to get all guts and glory. I was now going to go get him. Now, the way I remember it was just like a movie, you know, where it just slows down. And the bird looks at me and goes, and I get him. I roll him up. Oh, I'm good to go. Such a manly man. So I'm taking him outside. I saw a mother bird going around the trees, and the whole time I'm talking to this bird, just saying, listen, I told you I was prepared. I was going to help you all. I was going to save you all. I was going to do something. Do you know that we are more like the bird in that story than anything else? Where God has prepared things in your life. He's opened doors. He's done all, and so many of us refuse to even get off the sofa. So many of us even refuse to leave the wall. So many of us, we're finally heading in the right direction. We lose sight and walk right into doors. And we turn and blame God for it. Listen, pay the price of preparation. As God has laid out things in your life, you need to step up and go through it and allow God to mold you into the usable and serviceable person you need to be.